Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and you're very welcome to this week's edition of Farm Business Options. My name is Barry Carousel. I'm Teagasc Energy and Rural Development Specialist. And on today's episode, we're going to be talking about the area of social media and its importance in the area of farm business development. So whether it's a small business or large business, I think social media has really taken over and it's become, like it or loathe it, it's become a major part of our lives. And I suppose we're going to discuss the importance of social media in terms of promoting businesses, the different ways you go about doing that, and in terms of developing a strategy around it. I'm joined by Lisa Dunphy. Lisa, are you there? You can turn on your camera if you can hear me. Good morning, Lisa. How are you?
Hi Barry. How are things?
Good now, thanks. Good. You're live from Kilkenny, I believe.
That's right. Yeah, I am for sure.
So Lisa, you're with Green Acre Marketing, and I suppose you're getting queries all the time for, and I know you're going to be talking a bit about your business and what you do in terms of promoting various businesses, trying to get them themselves, I suppose, increased market share and get noticed. So you'll be talking to us a bit about that, and you'll be giving us a short presentation there, and then after that, we're going to be taking questions. So for those of you who's familiar with Farm Business Options, there is a chat function there on Zoom. It's at the bottom of your screen. So if you want to hover over that, or if you have any questions for Lisa at the end of her presentation, I'll put those questions to Lisa afterwards. So Lisa, maybe I'm just going to, if you want to start sharing your screen, and I'll just introduce you there for our listeners and viewers. Lisa's from County Kilkenny. She has worked in the agri-food sector for over 11 years and is well known in the agri-industry in Ireland. Lisa holds a master's in marketing and works with clients of Green Acre Marketing and strategic planning and campaign development. Green Acre Marketing employs a team of agri-marketing experts who hold the same passion for agriculture and marketing and care about where our food comes from. So Lisa, I'm going to turn off my camera and hand it over to you there. And at the end, as I say, we'll take some questions, from our viewers. And I have some questions from myself. Over to you, Lisa.
Great. Thanks for that introduction, Barry. You can see my presentation okay, can you?
Yep, I can see it clearly now. That's perfect. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Okay, welcome everyone, and thanks Barry for having me here today. So I'm delighted to be part of the Farm Business Options webinar series, and today's topic is driving diversification through social media. So before I get started on my presentation, I'm just going to quickly go through a brief introduction into, I suppose, who we are in Green Acre Marketing. So we are a team of 4 ladies and 1 gent, and we're established about 7 years ago, and March is actually our birthday month, which is this month. So we're 7 years in business currently. And we're agribusiness marketing experts, and what we do is provide marketing and communication services specifically to the food and agribusiness sector. And as a business, we have a huge unique set of skills in digital marketing, social media marketing, content creation, communications, events, and now I suppose virtual events, the way things have gone over the last 12 months, and strategic marketing and implementation. So we have had the pleasure of supporting many companies that are really the backbone of Irish agriculture, and who are supporting, and we also support some larger global brands, where we are their eyes and ears in the Irish market on the ground, where they may not necessarily have a marketing team in the Irish sector, and we would work with some of their European offices and their UK offices. So I suppose what's unique about Green Acre Marketing, our team are agribusiness marketing experts, really true at heart, and we have expertise at farm and corporate level, and that's really where our niche is, and that's our unique offering. So between us as a team, we have an extensive understanding and knowledge of the agri-food sector and its target market. And for us, really, what our core values are: trust and commitment, and really passionate about agriculture and about what we do in the area of marketing and ag. And I suppose we're committed to bringing new and innovative ideas constantly to our customers, and just trying to improve their brand and product offering through the marketing services that we provide. So that's really us in a nutshell. So I'll just go on to discuss about our discussion today. So driving diversification through social media. But before I delve into the area of social media, there's one question I just want to address, because this is the question that we're asked in Green Acre Marketing as a business too often, really, by customers who want to delve into the area of social media marketing. And the question is, in light of social media marketing, is having a website still important? And the answer to that is very much yes, it is still important. So I'll go on to explain how this really is kind of the backbone of your marketing strategy. So yes, and these are the reasons why. So I'll go through these 4 reasons, and just to give you an understanding of why websites are still so important. So the number 1 reason is your website is really your number 1 asset, and it's your selling tool, and it tells your story. So it's a fundamental requirement, really. That's the first step in your online investment before you ever even start a social media channel. And your website should be functional, visual, and most importantly, it should be optimized for mobile, because as we know now, most of our audience and most of our customers are now using mobile just to access all of their data. So moving on then, if you really want to leverage your social media marketing, you'll want to drive traffic to your website or a landing page specifically. So that's really the importance of it. Reason 2, 73% of Irish consumers get frustrated if a business does not have a website. So if you're, even though you think about it yourself, if you're actually Googling an address, or you want to find out a location and you don't find any information on them on the internet, you're just wondering really how legit is this business, or how authentic are they? So reason 3, a website is it's really important to showcase, it's vital to showcase your brand, your product offering, and it builds credibility then amongst your customers. So number 4, it's interesting to note that 80% of consumers go online to find and research a local business. So moving on then to my next slide, which is really delving into what is social media marketing. So social media marketing is the process of creating tailored content for each social media platform to drive engagement and to promote your business. And what I'd like to focus on here is the tailored content for each platform. And just want you to remember that, and I'll delve further into that as the presentation progresses. So why is it so important? Why is social media so important? 71% of consumers who have a positive experience with a brand on social media are likely to recommend the brand to their friends and family. And 90.4% of millennials, 70.5% of Generation X, and 48.2% of baby boomers are active social media users. That's a huge, huge audience. So it's really important that we break down those audiences and understand which of those audiences is your target market. And I'll go into that in further detail as I go through the presentation. So beginning your social media strategy. So before I even go into any of the platforms that are out there that people are using at the moment, I want you to understand that really, defining and understanding and developing your social media strategy, that is really core to it's the first step, and it's where you start. So there are 6 different elements here that I'm going to talk you through. So one being, what do I actually want to achieve? Our goals. What are my end goals? Whether that's reaching out to a new untapped audience, increasing my website traffic, generating leads, or promoting a new product, for example, or trying to tap into a different market, launch a new product. So lots of different things, lots of goals that you might want to achieve, but you need to define those, set them out, and set those objectives so you can reach those end goals using your social media marketing. So Next one is your audience. So understand who your target market is. Build out your personas and work out what social media platforms they are spending their time on. So be it if I'm looking at, you know, for example, persona building, what we would do in our office for some campaigns, we would actually build out personas maybe for a tillage farmer, for a dairy farmer, for a beef farmer, and for a sheep farmer. And those personas are then targeted on the different platforms. So you might have one farmer that maybe just wants to target derogation farms, for example, which is quite topical at the moment with sustainability and reducing emissions, etc. So there are certain areas, depending on your campaign objectives, you build out your personas and then you target those personas. So you'll need to know your audience, how your audience interacts on each of these platforms, and no one platform can consider it, you know, it's one size fits all. That's not the case. So you need to really delve deep and understand your audience and what platforms they're on. So ways of doing that is social media dashboards such as a Hootsuite or Buffer are great tools, and they provide you with an overview of who's following you and how they interact with your content. From these insights, then you'll be able to tailor your content to each platform and understand really what works best. So next is establishing your metrics. So your strategy needs to be data-driven, focusing on metrics that matter the most. And I suppose some of these metrics that we would use in the office on a regular basis or when we're monitoring campaigns for clients are as follows. So post reach, so the total number of people who saw your post. So this gives you an idea of how far your content is spreading across all of the social channels. Then maybe look at your link clicks, the number of clicks that the website that click through to say for example, your website or a landing page or a video. So whatever the media used that in that post, where did that then drive people and track those link clicks. So tracking them per campaign is essential to understand the success of the campaign and what encourages people to engage with your brand or buy your product. So you're really understanding the buyer persona, the journey there of your customer. So engagement is the number of people who engage with the post campaign, and it allows you to measure the interaction from the audience. So this is they're just 3 key metrics that we would use on a regular basis. And it's easy to look up this, so you can just, you know, look into the analytics on any of the social media platforms and have a play around in the back end, and you'll be able to pull all this information. So competitor analysis. So you need to determine what's working for them. So understand who your competitors are in the space and the market that you're in. Have a little look around and determine what's working for them. So, okay, so I suppose the goal here now is not to copy what they're doing, but it's to take inspiration to help you build your own strategy and to better that. So, you know, scroll through their content, determine the success of the content that they are posting, look at the likes they're getting, the engagement they're getting, and look at the interaction that they're getting from customers. And this will give you a good foundation to build your own social media strategy. Then, I suppose really for us as a business, and what we really focus on with, you know, what really I suppose a lot of our campaigns or anything that we do really within the office focuses on content, be it social media, your website, a brochure, you know, an article. It's all content related, and really what we do is it's how that content then is portrayed or how it's actually communicated on all of the different platforms. So you might have one piece of content, but you can actually use that content then and communicate that differently over lots of different channels. So I suppose content really takes center stage when it comes to your social media strategy. Anyway, if you follow, I suppose the above 4 points that I discussed, you should have an idea now at this stage of what type of content you're going to produce. There are a couple of kind of core principles that we would suggest you follow. So when creating content, in particular for social media, create content themes. So what I mean by this is use your brand colors, use strong visuals that are, you know, if you're taking pictures on your iPhone, make sure that they're the correct size, the correct shape for the platform that you're using. You know, when you look at Instagram, it's important that it's, you know, the square kind of portrait, etc. So, and keep an eye on the sizes of visuals on the social media channels, because they do change regularly. Even in the office last week, we were just chatting, and there's been changes even to Facebook sizes and things like that over the last, so they constantly change. So it's important that you're just keeping an eye on them so that they're sized correctly for the platform you're using. So use your brand colors, use the strong visuals, you know, use branded intros and outros on video and short video clips. It's very, very easy to do. There's lots of like helpful tools that you can use. So if you have a short video clip that you might have taken on your iPhone or on a smartphone, and you can do a little intro and an outro. And what I mean by that is like a nice branding where your logo comes flying in. You have a little bit of messaging on it, and the same for an outro to finish off the video. And use certain templates to create that kind of brand consistency, which is kind of visually pleasing to the audience, and it makes your page look really attractive. It's consistent, there's uniformity there, and it gives you that credibility that you're invested in your brand, you're proud of your brand, you're proud of how it looks, and that is represented then in who you are and kind of the personality, I suppose, of your brand. So user created content, and what I mean by this is content where you're putting up on your social media channels where you're getting engagement from people, where they're actually commenting on your content. So it provides customers an opportunity to interact with your brand, with you and your brand. And if you go onto Instagram, for example, or Facebook, and you're thinking of buying a product, and that page is full of positive comments and interactions from users, it's going to encourage you to go and buy that product, or at least like that product, or think about possibly buying it in the future. It's like a testimonial really towards your brand or your product offering. It's just another way of doing a type of testimonial piece for social media. So another one we would recommend is stories. They are interactive, and visitors to your platform can't really miss them. So use stories. It allows you to kind of stay fresh in your audience's mind, and they allow you to take followers behind the scenes, making you a little bit more personable, and less commercial kind of a focus. So it just brings more of a personality to the brand. We always advise our customers as well to have a good balance of content, from commercial, product focused to kind of educational content. For example, like, how-to videos, Q&As, to kind of more personal content, where we like to call them kind of on the ground content, or what's happening in that given moment. So we would make sure that when we're building out a content calendar, which I would highly recommend that you do, and it's just a way more efficient use of your time. So you could decide, okay, I'm going to build out my content for the next 2 weeks. So you might take a certain time on a Monday, you might go out with your camera, you might get some visuals, some nice imagery, some short video snips, then build out your content for the next 2 weeks. And you can schedule it then. You can schedule that using social media tools such as Hootsuite or Buffer. There's loads of tools out there which will help you schedule content, so you can have it scheduled in advance, ready to go. And then what we often like to do is, so you have your scheduled content there, and then if something happens on the fly, and you just might stick a post up as well, or it's nice to include on the ground content, as I was saying, just to make it more real and in the moment. Also, timeliness of content is really, really key too. It's a priority for us. So what I would recommend is post your content at a time that your page has the highest engagement rate. So view your page insights and have a look at your audience tab, where you can see you can see when your page is most active, and I suppose use this data and post at these times, because then you're going to get the most response back from your customers, and respond to your customers' questions as soon as possible, where possible. Obviously it's not always possible to respond immediately, and like and share, and ensure that you react and that you engage, because the more engagement, the more likes, the more followers, the more successful your accounts are going to be. And then finally, for us, really is monitoring and analysis. So this is absolutely so important. And I suppose this is where social or digital marketing is so different to traditional, and that you can monitor campaigns, and you can, pull your analysis together, and you can then come with better outcomes for your future campaigns. So by monitoring and analyzing your content, you can determine kind of what content is best for you, and it allows you to adopt your content strategy to make it work harder for you and your brand. And to be honest, social media, when you start off first, it's simply a matter of kind of trial and error. You need to monitor in real time, and it allows you to make small tweaks, and ensures that your content and that you're posting is actually what your audience wants to see. So there is a lot of work, I suppose, in the beginning, but the more analysis you have, the better understanding you have of your audience, and you understand more of the type of content they'd like to see. And it just, it just makes for more productive, more efficient campaigns, and you'll see the successes in the long term. So that's covering, I suppose, those 6 key things, and really they are so important when you're building out a social media strategy. And they're kind of the foundations that we would work from when we're building out campaigns for our clients. So just discuss a little bit then about social media platforms. We all know what's out there: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, we're probably the most prevalent. And then you have, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Snapchat, TikTok are extremely popular amongst different demographics as well. And I suppose for us, what I'm going to focus on today for today's discussion is I'm going to focus on 4 different platforms, and they are Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. I haven't done a slide on YouTube. We would always set up a YouTube account for our clients as part of an initial social media strategy, because that is where you can host lots of videos. You can push them out then at regular times or different times, just like today's video or webinar will be saved and will be put up on Teagasc YouTube channel, so people can go back and view it again. So it is important that you do have video. Really is king at the moment, so it's important that you would have a YouTube channel there, and that it's branded nicely, and that it's coherent and uniform like the rest of your brand and your marketing channels. Okay, so I'll delve on into Facebook and Instagram first. So Facebook is the largest social media platform in Ireland with 2.6 million daily users. It's, the age group are between 24 and 45 years old, and that's the largest group that are on Facebook. And the content is in the form of stories, Facebook Lives, static posts, and GIFs, and carousels. And that's typically the type of content that we would use on Facebook for our clients. And we do notice there are certain types of content that work well at, for certain products, certain campaigns. So again, it's a more of kind of trial and error to see what works for you. Carousels work extremely well on Facebook, and video is very good on Facebook too. Content is primarily consumed, as I said, via video, and it is more kind of lifestyle focused as well. So what works well, as I said, sharing content works well on Facebook. Facebook is kind of like a community where there are chat groups for different, associations. sectors. So follow different associations and sectors and groups that are relevant to your area or your niche. And from our research and experience with campaigns, Facebook actually is the most successful at driving traffic to your website than any other platform, and that's what we've discovered. Okay, so that's kind of Facebook in a nutshell, and I can discuss a little bit more if you have any questions in the Q&A on that, but I'll just go quickly into Instagram. So Instagram is the second largest social media platform in Ireland with 1.6 million daily users. It's really taken off in the last number of years, and 70% of the users are under the age of 35, and the largest group there is between 18 and 29 years old. The content is in the form of stories again, story highlights. You'll see them at the top, the round circles where you can put up your different bubbles with the different highlights in them. Reels now have become popular since last year, and high quality visuals. Instagram is so visual, and it's lifestyle focused as well, like Facebook, and it's brand and product focused. So what we would suggest on Instagram is when you're putting up a post, use your hashtags to connect with your interested niches. So you can use up to 30 hashtags, and I'd recommend having a hashtag list that you kind of interchange regularly so that Instagram can see that you're not using the same hashtags all the time. So you can see, the algorithms can see that you're changing it up, because the more you change up your content, the higher the ranking you're going to get and the better success you're going to have. So Instagram, in our experience, is probably the most engaging social media platform. What I mean by that is you do have, lots of comments. It's quite a positive, feel-good platform. But again, you need to be mindful that, and I suppose what people are trying to be more authentic in their content and keeping it real, but often that isn't the case, we would try and encourage to keep it as real as possible. Then moving on to Twitter. So Twitter is third largest social media platform in Ireland. It's the largest age group from 35 to 44 years, and the content is in the form of real-time news stories. It's very quick. It's very you'll see, even if you have a Twitter account, the news coming through, the news feeds coming through so quickly, breaking news, and it's so quick, and topics trend very quickly on Twitter. And content is consumed via video and via fleets. So fleets are little stories. They last for about 24 hours, and they are approximately 6 to 8 seconds in length. So it's just another way of pushing up kind of little short videos onto your platform. Twitter is quite conversational, a short conversational form, and it is engaging. It's a good way to communicate in a quick, short message, and it's interactive via the use of, tagging. So say, for example, someone wants to tag me, you can get a notification straight away. You can see that, and you can react almost immediately to that. So it's quite instant. So, and again, not to forget the use of hashtags here, but really for Twitter, we'd recommend you probably only use up to about 3 hashtags. So watch what's trending, have a look at the different hashtags that are trending, the most popular ones, and you can kind of tag onto those for your posts. So LinkedIn, just have it. Okay, so LinkedIn, it's the largest business-to-business platform in the world, actually. It's more professional sharing space for networking and building key connections and nurturing business relationships. Its content is in the form of kind of thought leadership articles, sharing business success stories. It's used for recruitment. It was primarily used for recruitment when it was initially set up, but it's now more of just a business-to-business platform. It's for building brands, business brands, but also as well, I find it extremely good for building your own personal brand. And I think that's really important to, when you're building your company brand, also look at, if you're an expert in your area, in your niche, in your sector, look at building your own personal brand and, you know, building your expertise in that specific area. And there's ways and means of doing that via social media, and LinkedIn is quite a good one from, you know, networking, relationship building, and you know, you'll get lots of industry insights and news on LinkedIn. It's quite a good, there's good content there, and relative content. So there are the kind of 4 platforms. There, to be honest with you, the 4 main platforms that we would use when developing a campaign for a client in the office. So that's kind of them in a nutshell. So what are the key takeaways from today's presentation? So I would say, number 1, set goals and make sense of your business. Take time to research your target audience, build out your personas, and remember different platforms attract different audiences. And you don't need to be on all platforms at any one time. You know, you can build it up slowly. Content is key. It's really so important. Be consistent in your tone of voice, in your communication, you know, in your timing. You know, build out. And also what's so important here is a content calendar. It's just going to make your life so much easier. It might seem quite daunting, but once you get into the flow of it, it's so much easier, and you can schedule your content ahead of time. Do it in a certain, you know, block at a certain time of the week. For us, we actually build out content calendars on a monthly basis. We do from one month to the next month, or you know, that's actually building out the content calendar. But we even have strategies built up to 6 months in advance. But that's at a kind of a very high corporate business level. But I mean, it doesn't need to be, you know, that detailed. But it is key to focus on your content and to be consistent in your communication. Make sure you engage with your customers. Continue to add value. That's so important. You need to add value. Ensure that you're adding value all of the time, and build trust, I suppose, in your product, in your brand, in your offering, and engage, constantly engage. And number 4, then assess what's working. And that's the beauty really of digital and social media, is that you can assess it quite easily, and you can change it up very easily. If it's not working, you literally go in and you say, okay, what do I need to do here to make this is not getting the interaction that I was hoping that I was hoping it was going to get. It's not reaching the audience, you know, and might be some small little tweaks that need to happen. And there's lots of different tools out there that you can do to help with your content and your keywords. Keywords are extremely important. And what I didn't actually discuss or mention is there's lots of different content tools to help you to create content, you know, and ask questions. And they'll actually, you know, and one actually website is Answer the Public, and you just sign up, and it's a free tool, and you just literally, you know, put in a question that you might have, and it'll spit back lots of different answers for you. So that's a way of actually coming up with content. There's so much content out there. It's just you need to understand, you know, your niche market and then build that content. But there should be no excuse really for not having enough content, because there's so much content out there. It's just really how it's presented. And then keep measuring, keep improving, and you know, that's, as I said, the beauty of digital, that you can measure the success and change it up accordingly. And you can do it even halfway through a campaign. So say, for example, you had a campaign that's running over, you know, for example, maybe a 3-week period. You wanted to do a product launch, and you're saying, okay, right, what's going on here? This is not getting the interaction I needed it to get. So you just have a look at your stats, change up the content, use video in a different way. You could use a GIF, you could use an animation, and there's lots of different tools to help you to create that type of content. Another one would be actually Canva, and it's a really cool tool that you can create really nice graphics. I created this presentation on it today. We have the pro version, but there's a free version that you can use, and it will help you to create, simple little graphics for your social media, and just to add that something different to your graphics. So that's really me. So Barry, I'll give it back to yourself.
That's great. Thanks a million for that, Lisa. Great overview of the area. Some great tips in there as well. If you want to stop sharing your screen, lots of questions coming in. So if any more of you have questions, you can put them into the chat function there underneath, and we'll put those questions to Lisa. So Lisa, I just start going through some of these questions here as quickly as possible, because as usual, we'll probably run out of time. One question for you here is, can you explain what a carousel in Facebook is?
Yeah, so a carousel is, it's maybe 4 different visuals, and they just run one after the other. And you can have different call to actions on a carousel. So for example, it might be, first visual might be, the call to action might be visit my website. The next one might be download my brochure. The next one might be watch a video. So you could have up to, I think we usually do up to about 4 or 5. I usually find the first one is the most successful, but they're very good visuals. It's a really good way of driving traffic to your website, and it's quite you can grab someone's attention very quickly with them.
Just somebody made a comment there as well, that social media marketing expert recently informed them that Facebook don't like pushing content based on YouTube or other platforms. They prefer it video directly posted to Facebook.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, so you can use, so that's in, so basically, for example, that's why there's, you've got your stories. That's why they encourage you to upload your video yourself to that platform. So there's lots of different, so all of the platforms have their own tools for you to actually upload video to that particular platform.
Somebody's asked a question. Can you repeat here the content tool again, please?
Sorry, can I repeat the
content tool? You mentioned.
Oh yeah. So, the content tools. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Sure. So, Answer the Public. It's a website. Answer the Public. Another one is Quora. It's Quora.
Okay.
And I would recommend, there's so many content creators out there, on social. Follow companies like HubSpot, Hootsuite. Another one would be Social Sprout. They do really good content where you can, it's really informative articles, nice top tips, what's happening in the market, different trends. It's happening at the moment. So there's just some research tools as well that you can use.
Yeah, another question there, Lisa, is how do you assess the metric info on Facebook page to view reach, etc.?
So when you go into your Facebook page, you can go into your analytics in the back end, and it'll give you lots of different ways of actually looking at different metrics there. So you can look at things like your impressions, your reach, your engagement, your likes, shares. Other ones would be the frequency, different frequency of times that are on your page. So it's all there. It was hard for me to I'd have to go through it with you, but it's all there in your analytics. So it's just a matter of delving in and having a little look around and experimenting and looking. And as I said before, it's kind of like a trial and error process.
A question here, I have had one unfair negative comment about my self-catering house in TripAdvisor, and it's really having an impact on my bookings. Can I get this comment removed, a comment like this removed, or can the person who posted it remove it, or can I request them to remove it?
Yeah, So is this did you say TripAdvisor? No, I'm not that au fait with TripAdvisor, but I'd say if you contact TripAdvisor, you might be, I don't know if you can remove it. But what I would do is I would post some quite positive. I mean, if there's just been one negative, make sure that you're getting that positive comments are coming up there. That will eventually kind of go down your stream. Like, it's very hard to mitigate for those kind of situations. When you go on social media, you're exposing yourself, or to any of these platforms, to this type of engagement. What I would say is, I would react to the comment to say, I'm very sorry that you had, a bad experience. If you want to contact me directly, we'll see if there was something we can do for them. But that's how I would. You'd have to contact TripAdvisor yourselves to see if it's possible to do that.
Yeah, and Lisa, to remove it. In relation to that, can you discuss the importance of responding to people's comments? If people put up a comment, whether it's on Facebook or whether it's on Twitter or whether it's on LinkedIn, is it important to always respond to those comments, or can you get sucked into maybe, or could you potentially get sucked into an argument, or
you could? You absolutely could, but it's important to interact. To engage and try and manage it. So, like, you will have, no doubt, it will happen. You will get it. Just it's the way the nature of human beings. You may get some negative comments. So it's really important that you acknowledge it. You try and take it offline. So what we would encourage, especially from social media perspective, anywhere where you have a negative comment, you acknowledge it and you say, look, if we can take this offline, and address it then. Make sure that you address it. Or, for example, we would contact, because we do a lot of social media monitoring, we would have a kind of a standard message where we would reply on behalf of the company. We'd notify the relevant people within the company. Would say, okay, look, we've got this guy's number or this person's number, this lady's details. We had some negative comments. Look, you need to now contact them directly, and they're happy to have the discussion offline. So what we would recommend is that you react and then you move it offline. But that's a negative comment. But from a positive perspective, to really build your followers, build your engagement level, it's important that you interact. If somebody likes or comments something really nice about your product or your brand, make sure that you like it back. You thank them. And that you just have that kind of level of engagement, because you're building up a community on your social media, and that's what you want to do. You want to build up a community where people are actually talking about you without you even having to do anything. So and talking positively about you and about your brand. So
this can all take time, because you could really get sucked into social media and you could spend hours on it. So you really need to dedicate time towards this as well.
You absolutely do. But also it's important to note that, just like you said, Barry, you just can't get completely sucked in either. There's a time where you need to say, okay, now there's only so much I can do here, because they are quite addictive platforms, and you can get, very much sucked in. So have your strategy, dedicate your time to them, and have that set time that you're going to respond.
Okay.
And manage.
Another question here, Lisa. I'm planning a coffee shop and restaurant along the Wild Atlantic Way. We're using our field to develop a car park for buses to pull in, and my daughter is a fully trained chef who wants to run the restaurant. We were wondering if it made sense to share and personalize our journey from the planning, the build, etc., by putting pictures up on social media right from the start, or should we wait until we are ready to open the doors before we start a social media campaign?
No, I think start building your story now. People are going to love that. Along the Wild Atlantic Way, they're going to want to follow you, follow your journey. And I suppose be really, that's such a really positive thing, that especially in the current climate, the way things are, the fact that you're opening this new business. So be excited about it, share your journey, and share, then you'll be able to reveal different things like, okay, we've got such part of the building up. We've got our new signage outside. We've got our, our lovely new logo. We've got, our website's gone live. No, you could. That's no harm in doing that, because you need to start building awareness of your brand straight away, and that's like a good news story. So what I would say is be consistent. You are taking people on a journey, but be consistent. If you're going to commit to doing this, you need to do it. Now, I'm not talking about posting every day, but I would say at least 3 times a week, because you want people to be able to follow you on the journey and see. It's almost like when you look at Instagram and you look at house accounts where people are constantly, starting their new build, or, house by the lake in wherever it is in Clare, and you have this girl and she's going through her whole journey of her house build and sharing ideas. You're going to have other catering companies or other people in the same business space as you that would probably be able to give you wouldn't believe the amount of tips and the community that you would build by just doing that. And at the same time, you're building your brand and you're building your personality for that brand.
Okay. Somebody says, I'm starting a new farm cheese business and only have my personal Facebook account. I've never used LinkedIn or Twitter or any of the others. Can I put the same message out on each of these, or should I create specific content for each of these? I guess you need to be open-minded, continuously testing in terms of that.
So do they have a Facebook? So they have a Facebook and a LinkedIn?
Yeah, they only have a Facebook account. They've never had LinkedIn or Twitter. So they're wondering, it's a farm cheese business. So they're wondering, should they be looking at maybe developing other social media?
Well, I would start with, if you're, probably the simplest to start with is Facebook and Instagram, because they're closely linked and they're owned. And you can actually post on Facebook, and it will your audience on Instagram, you'll attract that audience. So what I would say, if you already have a but if it's a person, I suppose it depends on whether or not you want to use your personal account as your business account, or whether you wanted to set up a new business account for your business. That's a kind of what I would, if it's
there's probably a bit of trial and error with this as well, is it?
It is a bit of trial and error. It's a cottage. Yeah, it's a cottage cheese. Is it cottage cheese industry?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. I suppose if you're well known. So this is the whole thing about personal brands. So if you already have a kind of a personal brand, if you're well known, you can build on that, and then you could say, okay, and I'm launching this business, this cottage cheese business. So what I would say is, so work on Facebook, work on Instagram, and if you want to build your own personal brand, you could do that on LinkedIn as well.
Okay. Lots more questions coming in here. I have had a large number of guests who visit my business in Leitrim over the last 20 years. I have email addresses and mobile phone numbers. I know there are restrictions with GDPR. Am I allowed to WhatsApp these people flyers about updates on my business offerings? Or can I send them a personalized email with new offers and additional services which I offer? So this person has gone back the last 20 years. They've got
no, emails. Unfortunately not.
Mm-hmm.
Due to GDPR, it needs to be within the last 12 months, you need to have permission. So I would say no, and it's absolutely not encouraged to send communication via WhatsApp. I even notice, from a kind of a kids community GA perspective here, even in my local area, we're not using the WhatsApps where you've got mobile numbers flying around on groups. So WhatsApp would not be a good way of communication to your client. But what you could do is, if you have a website, you could have an area where people can subscribe to your email, and you could push out that, say, with the latest news and updates via our monthly, newsletter, and push out that on social media and try and attract people in to sign up to that information, or just communicate via your social media channels.
And for those people that do have a large number of maybe addresses, or if they maybe are getting guests from now on, staying maybe in the self-catering and they're collecting that information, can they get them to sign something to say it's okay to send them?
Absolutely. And that's what I would recommend. Yeah, absolutely. So if you have somebody that's coming in and staying with you, you could just ask them, is it okay if we use your information for marketing purposes? And they'll be opting in straight away. And then what you need to do is to make sure that you're communicating to them in the next 12 months. And if they don't opt out, that's fine. But if they, and you need to ensure that you're monitoring your opt-in. When you have to give someone the option to opt out, and that you're monitoring those opt-outs. So when somebody does opt out, that you're taking them off the list. That's so important.
Okay, another question here. Fergal said he is trying to attract Italian fishermen to the Ireland's hidden heartland region where he lives. I do not speak Italian. How should I target this market?
Okay. Wow, I'm not that au fait with the Italian market. So I suppose I'd probably do my research on what's going on over in Italy and where the key areas are where the key areas are, where the people you're trying to attract from those areas. I mean, to be honest with you, the majority of Europe are, English speaking. Or you could try and get involved with maybe the Italian Tourist Board. Get involved there. They may be able to support you in trying to attract their market, their tourists over here to the Irish market. Okay,
very good. I run a holiday lodge business in Donegal. I want to let people into my home to humanise my business, to show my family and other families who are part of the business and who have stayed here in the past. Are there boundaries I should not cross in using pictures of my family and other guest families on Instagram or other social media platforms?
Yeah, I would suggest that if you do use an image, if you take a picture of some of your guests, you're saying, is it okay that I use these on social media? You need to get their permission. Now, I mean, up to yourself about your own family. You don't necessarily need to have much close up ones. It's how you strategically take those images and place them. But yes, absolutely, if you are taking images of guests, it's fine if they're from in a distance and you can't really make them out, but you need to ensure that you have the permission.
Okay, something similar here. I run a B&B and self-catering on our family farm in West Clare. We are not directly on the wide Atlantic Way, but we have fantastic views of the Atlantic Ocean and the Burren region. How do I make the most of my surroundings in my marketing campaign?
Wow, you have huge assets. They're amazing assets, right on your doorstep. So I would really just be promoting your area, the outdoors, and do that visually. Do that with short video snips. Do it with really, really gorgeous videos and pictures, and put them up on Instagram. Instagram and Facebook are probably where you should be if you're not already. And lifestyle is really big on Instagram and Facebook, so I would absolutely, and in particular that positive engagement, you will get that on Instagram.
Yeah, and I suppose if you have any family members as well who are maybe more online savvy, you should be making use of their knowledge as well, Lisa.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, another question here. We are in Kerry and my daughter wants to produce farmhouse butter, yogurts and ice cream by adding value to the milk produced on our dairy farm. We plan to target the premium end of the market. Any tips?
Yeah, well, I suppose build. So if you're looking to tap into that market, ensure that when you're building out your brand and your I don't know, do you have a name? Ensure that you have a really catchy brand name and something that looks really, really smart. When you look at, you know, any big brands that have diversified using, you know, milk products, or dairy products, you know, just do your research on your competitors in the marketplace, and make sure that you have a really nice logo, nice colors, and make sure that's represented on your social media channels. Social media is absolutely where you can start, but then I would also recommend that you have a website.
Can you just comment on that again, Lisa, the whole area of a logo? Because I do think some logos really stand out. How do you go about designing a logo?
Yeah, so what we work with lots of designers that we have. We don't have a design team in-house, but we work with lots of different consultancies, and we've built up kind of relationships with those over the years. So what I would suggest is, if it's not a big investment, but it's absolutely such an important investment that you get your logo right. Your identity, your brand identity is so important. Everything else will kind of come from it thereafter. So it's really important that you can go to, if you do go to the local enterprise board, they'll probably have names of designers that would be able to help you. And it doesn't cost an arm and a leg, but it's about you having your brand identity there and making sure it's up on all the relevant platforms. And it's so important that you choose the right colors for your tone and for your personality and for your business objectives. So I would say that's not done overnight. You know, that's something that you should have a number of different design concepts that you work with, and you choose the right one for your brand. Okay.
I'm planning a business of offering rural nature tours in Galway. I want to show the diversity and beauty of our countryside to guests while explaining the flora and fauna in the area to them. How would you suggest I go about this?
Okay, so again, yeah, you know, assuming that you are, is this person on social media?
Yeah, I don't know about that, but how would you suggest I engage with social media to demonstrate my offering?
Okay. So again, I would create a Facebook and Instagram account, and I would start building your business. But again, I start with the website. I'd ensure that you have your website up to date and all the relevant information on the tours and what's happening and the local area and what products you're offering. Once you're happy with that and that's up to date and relevant, then I'd start communicating your message on social media. And again, posting, you know, up to 5 times a week on the selected platforms, be it Facebook or Instagram. And then connecting with people, you know, people in your sector on those groups, and pushing your content out that way.
Yeah, loads of questions coming in for you there, Lisa. Another question here: are there any rules of thumb regarding the frequency of posts required? Now, you did mention the 5 times a week there, but maybe there's a time in the day and all of that that should be looked at.
Yeah.
I'm a one-woman show, and I find it difficult to stay on top of social media, and I feel I should be posting more frequently than I am at present.
Yeah, okay. We would say at least 3 times per week, no more than 2 times per day, but that's at a very, very top level. So I would say set yourself a goal of 3 times per week, and I would try and build out your content maybe at the weekend, or set a day aside where you go out and you actually, if you sit down and just even spend an hour sitting down, writing out each post, assigning an image or even a small little video that you might have taken to that content, and pushing and scheduling that. And you can I would suggest use something like Hootsuite, and you can schedule the content. You can schedule it for different times of the day. Now, I'd have to have a look at your analytics to see when people are engaging with you. So after a while, when you start posting, you'll see what times of the day you're seeing, okay, I'm getting engagement at, like, say it's 6 o'clock on a Wednesday evening, 6 o'clock around 6 o'clock on a Friday evening, or it could be a Sunday morning. So whatever those times are, then you can start scheduling your content, and you'll gradually see it building up and building up. So start watching the trends and looking at it that way.
Yeah. I am starting a new farm tourism business. I want to set a pricing strategy going forward for guests. Any advice?
So it's a farm tour business, is it?
Yeah, farm tourism business. I presume it maybe self-catering or maybe something like that.
And a pricing strategy, I don't know. I wouldn't, you know, would it have to be as in promoting a pricing strategy on social?
Yeah,
or
I'd say it's something like maybe looking at maybe what the competitors are charging in the area, if it's accommodation, something like that, and maybe look at the local area and the advantages that it would have, and maybe if there's winter deals possibility maybe as well, of maybe attracting something like that. Just now we've just run out of time, Lisa, so look, we have to leave it there. We've had a lot more questions that have come in and we can't get to them all.
Okay.
But unfortunately, we do have to leave it there. But Lisa, you can be contacted at Green Acre Marketing. Your presentation will be up on the Teagasc website afterwards, as well as today's recorded presentation as well. That was absolutely brilliant, the information that you provided us with here today, Lisa. So thank you very much for that.
Thanks for having me.
There we have to leave it. I'll be back again. My colleague, Seamus Campbell from Donegal, will be back with you next week. He'll be talking about diversifications. Champions from County Donegal. I'll be back with you the week after that again. So from me, Barry Calvin, thank you very much for listening and for watching, and we'll talk to you very, very soon. Goodbye.